Okay, well, welcome to the Code Review Weekly Workshop, and we're going to talk about code review things and things orbiting around that subject. Paulina has something she's added to the agenda. Um, and I haven't read it, but let's check it out. Um, would you rather follow one naming pattern inside a file or break the pattern for a name that reflects the single purpose of this function? Hmm. Also from the realm of are we too nitpicky? All right, let's check this out for context. Okay, totally nitpick. Not only use it in the template, but also inside another method on. It might be beneficial to reflect that in the name. Ah, I see. Mm, yes, I think I see what Pauline is saying. So like there's this all of these methods are all these methods have been named according to like how they're used, and they're all used as like these event handlers, and so they're all ons. And so, but this one was named this because it was used on the input event on a field, but then it's also used elsewhere. And Paulina saying is like, well, that's it's a little strange to call the event from within another method. I don't know how often this thing will happen in the back end, like creating like event handlers, um, these like on methods.
I don't, I don't think it works the same, but I think we usually have we have GitLab. Well, I've used the GitLab event store, and then we have workers that like subscribe to them. But naming
Oh,
things is hard and probably one of the least favorite things that I do.
yeah.
But I don't know, maybe I'm more nitpicky. I don't like it when I read something and it's like not it's not clear to who's calling it, like what's happening.
Mhm.
I've made that comment before. I'll own it. I don't feel bad about it because I remember how confusing this code base was when I started working here. Oh,
And it's not confusing anymore. Is that what you're saying?
well, I just don't want to make anything worse. That's all. Like the code base is huge. We just had like a huge influx of people that were hired. And
Mhm.
I don't know. I think I tend to be on the more nitpicky side when it comes to like, you know, if this method is called like find or create by something else, like it should actually be doing that and it shouldn't be like
Yeah,
doing something else underneath the covers. It should be like very clear what
yeah.
you're getting back. And I made that comment about scope names. And yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've gotten
Um,
comments from people that they don't like the names I picked. And I take it in
yeah.
stride and I change it and I move on. So I don't know. I don't feel like it's too nitpicky from my perspective.
That's a good point. I'd like to share my one kind of the major feeling I have with this kind of discussion, and it's from working on the GitLab code base for a long time. Because the GitLab code base often has function names that aren't helpful, that are like, and so what's totally happened to me mentally is I've completely decoupled the name of the function to the meaning of it. It's like just because it's called this, I don't know what that actually means. And so I don't really freaking care what it's called anymore. If it's like you can call it, you know, you know, quack, and it's all the same to me because of the technical debt that sometimes our code inhibits. But when it's like, so sometimes I can feel like that. In this case, I think these ones clearly have a little bit more of a pattern and a meaning to it. And but I think I do agree with Paulina's point of these ons and in so like I imagine in the backend if you're using the event bus kind of thing or whatever, and you're creating like a handle event function or whatever it is, it's like that function is kind of reserved for the event happening. I wouldn't call it outside of that context. So maybe the name isn't the most appropriate.
I think the on naming might mean that we are, dealing with some logic that happens on that event. And sometimes when there is, with the function under question, the function only does one thing and it's a specific thing. So it's not a set of things that happens upon some event, but it's a purposed function that does one thing. And in that case, I think we can. I'm on Paulina's side that we can have a single purpose function name here. But yeah, I would totally agree that this is non-blocking, and I would move on happily with other choice.
Yeah.
I think for me, as a person who's new, my first MR, it's still under review right now. It has
That's okay. That's great.
whopping 40 comments, 70 comments. What was so hilarious was like, because it's public, I realized it's public. So someone was like, oh, how's the new job? I shared, and they were like, whoa, this is too much. Like, they were shocked about you can see it. I was like, get over that. Like, I understand how scary it is, but anyways, I also just have low level of shame. But I personally very much appreciate nitpicky, because I think if someone spent the time patiently tell me the tone, I can not make mess. Especially I think for me, because I'm in source code, the code I'm looking at is like 4 years old. So to get the most up-to-date practice in code review is very appreciated for me. So that's where I stand as a new person coming.
Yeah. That's a good point of I think nitpicky comments usually get a lot of flack of like, hey, we're being too pedantic, let's just let things go. But I think if we can try to view it as a collaborative process, and if someone's giving the review is being collaborative with it, I think it's fine. The biggest beef to me is I don't care what comments are left on the first round of reviews. I was just like, if we're having multiple rounds of reviews that could have just been one round of review, that's when things get a little annoying to me. And I would not bring up nitpicks if we're like second or third round of review. But for me, it's like first round review, it's free game. I get to comment on anything. Anything I want to. That's a good point.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, thanks for sharing that, chat. I think that's a helpful perspective. What were you gonna say, Tara?
Oh no, I was just saying, I think I definitely have left a comment and been like, I am very sorry for not noticing this the first time around, but at least addressing the fact that like, yes, I realize we're multiple rounds in, however, I just noticed this thing. But yeah, I mean, what if I leave something as non-blocking, I really do truly mean it as non-blocking. I've had people respond back to me. I'm like, I left it as non-blocking for a reason. It's okay to like keep on going. A lot of the times I'll leave it to be like, hey, did you know that this thing was an option? And if you choose to change it, cool. If not, just leave it. But like, it's more of like for next time, something to consider.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely feel you, especially if it's been like a really large MR or one that has like 40 or 50 discussion threads on it, coming in and then being like, oh yeah, here's 10 more nitpicks. Doesn't feel very good as the author to get those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've done reviews in the past at previous companies where I would start reviewing, I'd get up to like 50 comments on it or something. As an example, like a lot of comments. And I kind of feel like at that point, I might have gone not too far, not done too many, but it might be a little overwhelming. So I'd go like through a second round and like start deleting things that I don't think are, like if it was only that, I'd mention it. But if it's amongst many things, I'd rather cut down on the noise. So like maybe some nitpicky style preferences and stuff, I'd say they're just going to slow down because we've already got so many more important things. So I'll just delete those and leave them out.
Right.
And I don't know if that's good in that case because it's as you're saying, it's overwhelming for someone if they get so many comments on their MR. But on the other hand, it's just cutting things out that I would otherwise include that I think are useful to include. But
so what happened to me in this 70 plus MR is I had the questions about testing. That was my, like, I couldn't figure it out. I was like, help, help, help. Like, I put out the MR, here's my question. So what the person did is Vanessa, she's dope. She basically, it's like, address these first, and then we'll come back to testing later. So that's what she did, which I really liked. Because it was like already 20 things. But then I like, and then the second time she came, she was like, I haven't forgot about the testing. Like, just let you know. Yeah. So
nice. It could go a long way too. Of like, so if I see a number of, and I've said this a lot before, but I try to also reduce the number of comments I do. So if I have like semantically the same comments, rather than, and this is a huge, in my opinion, huge weakness in our merge request product, but if I see the same pattern across 10 different files, and it's like, okay, we can just polish this bit, like we could do what we're doing in 3 lines, we can do it in 1 line here, or we could let's name things differently here. Some people are tempted to leave 10 comments using suggestion feature to update all of those lines. And that just does feel like information overload, where I feel like I can leave 1 comment with a patch that maybe touches all of them rather than using the suggestion feature. And so that when I am giving back the review to the author and they see Paul left 7 comments, they can have some assurance like that's 7 cohesive bits of feedback. It's not, if I leave 20 comments, that could feel overwhelming because it'd be like, I have 20 different things I'm going to have to like change here, when in reality it's like maybe 10 of those are the same thing. Anyways, that's a little, I get irritated sometimes with all of the comments that get left sometimes. It can feel
like
really
the idea of the patch. Yeah, I like the idea of the patch though. I'm gonna steal that.
Patches
Because
rock.
I've done that where I'm like, oh, here, there's like 5 plate, like fix this, but like in the rest of the file too. And then they just fix the 1 spot. And I'm like, no, but I meant the rest of the spots. Now I have to leave another comment. Oh, that's good. I'm stealing that.
Yeah.
I see the benefit of. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
it happened to me. That's it.
You go, Keon.
Okay. Yeah, I think you need someone else to say who goes first at that point. You're both waiting for the other again. But yeah, I see the benefit of both ways because, as Jay was saying, sometimes you leave it in one place and they fix it in one place and don't fix it in other places. And also for the person who's making the changes, it's easier if they know exactly what it is. Because you've just gone through the code, you've seen where this has happened in 5 places. Whereas if you tell me to fix it here, then I may not remember that I've done it in multiple places. So I've got to go back. I've got to remember, oh yeah, I've actually done that in 3 places. So I'd go check it out. Or I've got to go through my code base again. With the patch, that seems really handy, but it seems like a bit of a pain to generate because then you've got to check it out on a local repository. You've got to fix it 5 times.
But this is where I have optimized this process. I'm not sure how much. I don't want to devolve too much, but I do so much code review and I do it all the same way, and I'm always doing patches, and it just makes so much. It makes everything convenient. I like your joke, Chow. I just saw, I had to open the chat because I saw just 2 Canadians arrive at the door. I didn't know if you're saying something like, I gotta go, I got some Canadians here. And I was like, oh, that's good. Haas and Terry, I'm sure I have, but you all have seen how like I review something locally by curling the diff, and do you all find yourself doing that, or do you all use the UI, or do you find yourself checking out branches when?
I would,
I check out branches when I want to verify what I'm saying is correct. Because sometimes I'd be like, you can do this, and I'm like, can you though? So I'd go check it to see if it's working. But for simple things, I try to avoid checking it out if it's not necessary.
I've been mostly checking them out because I'm lazy. Sometimes when I do that git apply thing, it doesn't always work. But I also am like slow to take up like shortcuts. The person on my team who's like really good at that, Dimitri, he shares stuff with me all the time, and I got like maybe like a 30% adoption rate. I'm working. He has so many like cool shortcut things. But a lot of the time I'm reviewing stuff from my team, which involves like Elasticsearch migrations and things like that, and it's just easier for me to check the branch out. It's not as annoying as the database migrations to like undo it when I go to a different branch.
I don't know. It's a little annoying.
The database ones are annoying. I don't know. I feel like I should. I've been meaning to go back and try it because I keep seeing people share the tactic, and I have a shortcut that I set up, but then I went and used it and it didn't work, and I was like, okay, I'll come back to that later, and then now here we are.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Can
show
you
it if you do the review, show it again, and I can try to do the same thing on my computer, see how it looks.
Can you
Okay.
share the database rollback tricks? Because yeah, it happens from time to
Oh,
time, and then I just try
I
to survive
can.
for a week, and then
Oh.
something explodes.
So if you're reviewing database MRs, which I don't know how many of you do, but Dimitri has like a script that I use to like roll back easier the migrations that were like introduced in the one that you're working on. It's like
Oh,
a
that's
little
awesome.
script, and then it opens up like a choice thing. So you can say, oh, I want to roll back this one, instead of being like, what's the number? Or how many numbers do I need to go back?
Yeah.
I'll
Oh,
find
it's
it
a
and share
UI
it.
thing.
No,
And
it's a command line thing, but it's like
yeah,
you
yeah.
just run this.
It is a
Oh yeah,
UI.
yeah. It has
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it
yeah,
has
yeah.
something so that you're not trying to remember
Yeah.
how the heck this thing works.
But do you have to do that before checking out another branch, like when you finish the
If I'm
Yes.
reviewing database MRs, I try to roll
Mhm.
back because it can cause really strange GDK problems
Definitely.
for you. And
Yeah,
I
that's
don't like to
the
redo my
situation.
I don't like to redo my database from scratch. I have like test data in there that's like mine, and I like it, and I don't want to have to reset it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's definitely
I can share his script though. I shared it somewhere the other day, but it was probably
could
in
you
a different.
yeah, if you could drop it in the agenda, I think that'd be
I
helpful.
will, yeah, I'll find it. It's
Cool.
somewhere.
Oh,
That he has in the repository I'll share, also pretty cool if you are doing Ruby stuff, like the spec watch one will like just like rerun the specs that you're working on constantly every time you make a change in your editor, and like that saves a lot of time. I don't know. I feel like he don't have kids, and he has like he's like really good at programming, and also like doesn't like to work too hard. He makes really good scripts.
So I feel like these should be checked into the project. Like we have the scripts directory. Like they should just check.
Yeah.
That would sound.
I do not own these scripts. I cannot they're in his repository, but I feel like he'd probably be fine if someone did that. I don't have time. But I'll
That's
share them.
Yeah. Let me walk through how I review MRs locally. Let me
I even have your shortcut, but I want to look at what yours is and make sure it matches
this
mine.
is what I do. I do it so much. I do this. Okay, there was just one time. So all right, there's some MRs I won't do this, and I'll show you an example of that. But it's like definitely 95% of the time I do. So here's an MR, and it's changing some stuff, like most MRs do. And it's doing some stuff. So this is UX MR, it's changing the front end. I'm kind of interested in verifying this locally. But at the same time of verifying it locally, I also want to review the changes and stuff. When I find the best way for me to do this is locally on my GitLab branch or my GitLab project, I will have master checked out and I keep it checked out, but I will curl the diff of the project of the merge request and apply it. So if I just add .diff to the end of the URL, I now get a diff format of the merge request. Because our Rails controller handles some really cool stuff like that. And then I'll apply it. Every once in a while, I get something like this where things aren't applying. Yes, I know this happens sometimes. And I don't know what this means, but that just means then I have to do AM-3. I don't know. That's just like doing apply. It's just something different. And then it works. Sometimes it throws messages like this. I don't know why. But if git apply doesn't work, you do git AM-3. All right, now we're taking a small little detour. There's one little weird thing with git AM. And once you do an AM, you're kind of stuck in AM land. And every once in a while, GitLab will say, hey, we've got an AM in progress. And I don't know what any of that means, but you could just do git AM abort whenever. And it's waiting for you to do that. Except now I lost my stuff. So anyways, I'll go back to it. Cool. So now I have all of the changes staged. And so what I'll do is as I'm testing this thing out, as I'm testing the thing out, I totally came across like something that like, oh wait, this isn't working. So here was a change. And I was like, oh, this wasn't doing what we thought we were doing. And I want to leave a helpful comment. So I'm going to just see what do I think would work? And I'll make that change right here. So if I'm here and we're doing something and if I feel like, oh wait, this isn't what we need, we actually need, I'll open the file and I'll do, oh, it shouldn't be this, it should be GL quack is the class we need to use. And then we could have added this here, whatever. So this is how I review is I review by like changing the code of like, this is what I would expect it to look like, or this is actually what's fixing it here. And then after saving it, I then have, my lovely little diff of this is what I felt like we should be doing. And so then can just do git diff and I get the patch that I'll include in my comment. I can git diff just a specific file if I need to. But yeah, for me, what I've noticed is just the way that my brain works. I spend, it is a huge time suck for me to try to word things in the English language of what I am suggesting, as opposed to just giving code. And so because I can stage all of the MR's changes, I can make my own changes and just go through what I expect and then just send basically code back. Sometimes I'll just send it all back in one big patch of like, here's some things. And I just list it out. These are the things I kind of feel like we can change. And then I kind of expect they would apply the patch locally and they can make whatever changes they want to make. And then boom, we're good to go. So yeah, I do generate patches a lot. And I'm like, every MR I review this way because I find it so much easier for me to review the diffs through the editor as well. So like diffs like this, it's harder sometimes to see in the UI. And in a later session, I'll also through the terminal, like sometimes you'll see like just blocks of code moved and you want to just compare just those blocks. Because I'm local, I can now like do vimdiff or whatever on just subsets of files, and I can find myself comparing stuff way easier locally than on the UI. Yeah, this is what I do.
Can you show the vimdiff of the blocks you just mentioned?
Yeah, let me see if I can find a good example of that. You know what? This is a good example. Because this So this file, so this is the context here. There's let me open up the file. There's this one, and let's say I was interested in like, okay, how different are we from GPG keys or whatever. That's not really the situation I would use this for. I would use this mainly for like, you know that something should have just moved, but it moved in such a way that it's not like clear. I don't have a good MR off the top of my head for doing that, but let's pretend that that's what we were doing. So I'll do vimdiff. Oh yeah, let's do this. Let's say I wanted to compare the old version of that to this file. So this is this is a really neat git command, but git show, I didn't realize is like super robust of not only can it show commits, but actually show files from old commits. So I can do git show origin master of this file that has changed. So I'm going to get master's version of this file. And then let me get this file from disk. And then I'm doing these weird like pointy things. So vimdiff is going to get two types of files coming into it, two streams into it. And then now I'm comparing, those two files. So I can see what was different between the two. This one was in the SSH one, the old one. And then this one was like over here. And I see, oh yeah, there's a lot more difference in the fields. Or it looks like here we just have key. Is that right? We got a lot more going on here. Maybe I selected the wrong file. Okay. Now, these are all just read-only files. So what I can do is like, if I'm trying to select just a bit of it to change, I will like delete a bunch and just get to the bit that I'm trying to change. So like if I'm mostly interested in, yeah, something happened to those files though. What happened there?
You're comparing two different files now.
I am, but I thought
each you intended. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought these were supposed to be pretty close though, but I guess not. Yeah, they're definitely not. Never mind then. Why did I think they were so close? Maybe these ones were the close ones. Ah, yes, these ones were the close ones. I got the wrong ones. Yeah. So if I was looking at, yeah, these old ones. Yeah. And so then like none of this is on disk, but like I'll delete lines here and those try to get just highlighting of like, okay, what is the actual blocks comparing? Yeah. It helps me save a lot of time sometimes. And there's other little things I do to try to visually verify some things that are just really hard to do in the UI. Yeah.
And when working on a patch, how do you switch between a patch and seeing what's changed? Do you have a highlight of stage changes in your ID?
Yeah, so I should be able to go here to staged, and this is all MR changes. And so I don't stage my changes. Every once in a while, I'll muck this up, and then I kind of have to like, I'll make a backup of my file and then reapply the changes and then apply my backup back. But that's basically what I do. Stage changes are MR changes. Changes are my changes.
Right.
And yeah, and then the other weird thing that I have to do is, okay, when I'm looking at stage change, if I'm actually going to change it, because the staged bits is considered like immutable, I actually have to open up the file. So that is a little bit annoying. It's like I can't just change it from this view because they are staged. Yeah. But I'll just open it up and play around with it. I do have to kind of keep a little bit of context in my head of when I'm at this view of like, okay, what's actually changed. And I'll go back to the UI to reference too. But I'm always checking things out locally like this. It's just part of my process. But the big
Cool.
key is I don't change branches. It's because, yeah, I'll run into database migrations and Rails feels like it has to reread everything. And it takes a lot longer than if I just apply the MR changes on master.
Isn't it basically the same thing though? Like if you apply them locally, it's the same changes as if you checked out the branch.
Except the branch might be like hundreds of commits behind master.
Oh yeah, so you're adding new stuff. Or yeah,
Right,
that
right.
yeah.
So that's, I just keep master up to date. And so you could even catch, hidden issues this way, because there could be changes in those 100 commits that it's behind that now invalidates whatever is going on there, or what. That's definitely happened to me because sometimes I'm here and I'll do a project-wide search for, do we already have a thing that's doing this kind of thing? Or like, wait, haven't we renamed something else? And if that, if that merge request was just merged and then another MR is not realizing it. So there's a whole other benefit to reviewing it applied on top of master as it will be, as opposed to just the branch it's currently on as well.
Right, makes sense.
Yeah.
But no, that's a really cool method. I've not heard of anyone doing it like that before. But I see how you're quickly able to make changes and test them as well, I guess, and quickly get a patch out.
Yeah, I always do the same thing so that I don't, because I will do so many merge requests and to get through them all, I just gotta close everything out and just context focus on that one thing. And I just do the same process of check them out locally. I don't know. It helps me be more focused too. Because like just looking at the UI, I look at all this. I got these like Vegas slots happen over here. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff distracting me. Here. There's probably a lot, better ways too to do what like I haven't considered using if you use VS Code, the GitLab workflow extension has like baked in, you can review an MR through the editor. And I personally, and this is 100% my fault, and I should, but I haven't used it. And I'd be really curious to know if like, could I do my process and then like leave comments also and the editor, never leave the editor? That would be really interesting.
Let's do it now.
Let's do. Yeah, maybe we could try it. We should try it. Yeah, if we got an MR to review, we should do that. Now I know I hijacked the agenda. I think there was a couple of things on here. Someone left this merge request on the GitLab development kit.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to put my name on that.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah.
You want to share what's your
how do you even do that? Okay, never mind. Right, share my screen. I don't think it's too important. Wait, let me find it now.
I can share my screen and walk through it, but if you want to
yeah, that'll be easier.
Yeah, what were you looking at here?
It's not even a big code change. It's just I had some issue working out what the reset data command does. So I made a tiny documentation change, and remembering back to the issue you posted a while ago about like if it's a trivial change, try to only get one person onto it instead of getting too many people. So I went for that. I looked at the bot over there that you're looking at, and I thought Axel can do it because it's just documentation change.
Yeah.
And then Axel reviewed it. It was just a maintainer and said, actually, no, we're going to need one more person. And then another person came and approved it and said, no, it's still not working. We need another person. And you can open that thread over there. It went through a bunch of people until we finally worked out that we needed
that's funny.
the last person to approve it. And yeah, so if you click,
I'm curious why we needed. Was it ever answered why 3 technical?
Yeah, I think the issue was if you click the drop down there on the approved by.
Yeah, if you like expand that approved by, that tells you who you need. You were probably missing the GDK maintainer.
Yeah, I was missing the maintainers star one on the code owners, and we've got the maintainers for the docs. And it's weird that, I don't know, it wasn't very clear to me, and apparently others, because we all missed it, that you need the maintainer stars, and that maintainer docs isn't like a good enough for this change, I guess, because it's only docs changes.
Yeah, it's definitely a process issue on our end where, you know, and maybe it's an improvement we should make to our product of, in some MRs that are just changing docs, like we just need to require one from here. We don't necessarily need to require one from here.
So I think it's not, I think it required someone else though, because it wasn't just something in the doc folder. It was something that was one level above. And so technically, according to that code, it wasn't just docs. If that help hadn't have been changed, I wonder if it just would have been okay.
That's interesting. Well, but then maybe we need to change our code owners, because like
I don't know what that file is.
But when you type help, get GDK help, that file.
Yeah, maybe that one needs to be, maybe that's an improvement that we can make, like to make that code owners like the doc people only.
Okay, so you don't always need the code owners maintainer, I don't know what you call them, the global maintainer, the main
You'd
maintainer?
have to look at what this file says.
Right.
So yeah, it's
yeah. So saying,
I don't know, because if you look at line 7, maybe it's that or any of them. Okay, maybe doc. I don't remember how the code owners works, but yeah.
Right.
That's interesting. Should we move? Should we add help?
Yeah. See if that can get
yeah,
that makes sense to me.
You'll see how I'm using Vim and the web ID. We have our extension marketplace, which is under a very limited release on the web ID coming out. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that what that thing is that I reviewed? For you and Chad, or is that different?
Oh, the big MR from Chad.
Yeah.
That was kind of related. It was kind of related, but that was a huge refactor. Yeah.
Oh, I know. He asked me before he sent it to me, and I told him it was okay.
That's very nice. I figured something like that happened. Of like, you kind of have do have to ask someone before you send them that kind of MR.
Like a 100 file change. Yeah, I think it's nice to ask, because I've gotten a database like migration squash before, and it was like 900 files or something silly large, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah. Let's see if we can set doc reviewers to or code owners for help. Yeah, we'll just call that related to I lost the here it is. Well, I'm mostly confused on how come it needed so many
I think
it needed so many technical writing reviews. Right?
Right.
Was that ever answered?
How come it needed? Sorry, could you repeat that?
Sorry, it seemed like it needed, because we had 3 technical writers. Right.
Yeah, I think people didn't know what was missing, and if you read the comments there, someone just said, "Oh, I've reviewed it, but it still needs another review," and added someone else, and then added, but they were adding someone who wasn't necessary.
I see.
So maybe that's something that could be improved.
I see.
Yeah.
I think that is it.
Yeah. I think it's not, this is not the only time I've seen this happen, where someone is in the backend maintainer channel and they were like, why won't this merge?
Yeah.
It has all the approvals, and then someone's like, but not that one. That's like kind of hidden up in upstairs area.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a visual indicator we could have. So when you click edit reviews and you click to add someone, it will show them green if, or something. It'll have some kind of indicator
like
that if they approve
that's a
it,
really
it'll be approved.
That's a really good point. Of like, Yeah, I like that idea. I think a lot of confusion comes from how this is worded. I think DangerBot brings a lot of confusion because
Yeah.
it seemed like, oh, it's not merging. We didn't include these reviews or people, and I think that might be how some people interpret it. Yeah, that's interesting.
Could be.
Cool. Yeah, let me.
Yeah, finish it.
I'm gonna go ahead and just create this really fast so it's on my plate. Cool. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. And I think I'll add that to that big issue of improving the reviewer. I think that's a good idea. So thanks for bringing it up.
Cool. Thanks for sharing.
Cool. I had a small one. This shouldn't take long. So I'm reviewing backend MRs these days, which I realize gives me the pleasure of reviewing Stan MRs every once in a while. And a couple of really cool things happen in SAR. One MR, one I wanted to show you all, like, that's an interesting problem. And Stan always has such a great way of solving everything. And so this upstream gem that I sound like a backend engineer. This upstream gem that we depend on had kind of a bug in this. And it looks like there's an upstream fix for this. It looks like it's just merged. I think we're waiting for it to probably be released. But in the meantime, what we had started out doing was, yeah, right here, we started out just, we would get this value back and it was missing the username part of it from the URL. And so Stan just on this line updated it. But there's other lines where we use this, and then Stan realized there's actually some like third-party-ish code that's also using this and needed it as well. So what the final change ended up being was, rather than in the place that we use the method injecting the param, I guess we have ways of patching gems. So using, I guess, like the Railsy kind of prepend stuff, we would patch that file. But this I thought was so brilliant. So this is the current version of the gem. But knowing that, okay, when we update, we don't need to do this anymore.
Oh, that's sweet. I
I
like that.
know,
Otherwise, this
right?
will stay in the code forever. It'll never
I
get
know. It's so good. Yeah. So this will raise the
removed.
error whenever the gem updates. And that made
I'm
it for me.
stealing that if I can remember it.
Yeah.
That is my huge problem with like leaving a comment being like, remove this thing when this thing changes.
Yeah.
Like no one ever remembers to do it. And it's just,
Yeah.
it's not anyone's fault. It's just kind of like the human, we're human.
So I kind of think, this is a really great way of doing it, but like maybe we could even just write tests that read versions and just fail. If like, something's updated or whatever, we can write tests that fail and saying like, hey, you need to remove this code and remove this test. But I thought this is just a really good idea for like automating.
I feel like anyone that updates that gem is going to have a lot of tests.
I know.
But that's fine. They will
Yeah.
get a message. Oh, I like it.
Yeah, I thought this was cool. My one little bit of feedback was in our tests, Stan had updated all of our like spec fixtures to include the username. But I was like, oh, we might want to still test that when we don't have the username in the URL, because that's what we were doing before. And so that was my little patch, was having a value that didn't have the username and stuff like that. But so that tests have enough variety to it. But then before, Stan even responded to mine, as a reviewer, I'm all about, once it's ready for a maintainer, I say, hey, go ahead and assign it to a maintainer. These are my comments. Whenever you're ready, you can do that. So I went ahead and approved the stuff. It's ready to go. But that was my little MR. I thought was interesting. I love the raising the exception on the gem update. That was good.
Yeah, I've never seen.
On the last bit, with the blocking comments, would you proceed to the maintainers review even though they haven't been addressed yet? Like if they are trivial enough?
If I feel like, if it's like a blocking question or a concern, if I feel like the maintainer could answer it, so as a reviewer, I'll do it. If I'm like, this is ready for a maintainer. If I've left like a blocking patch that I'm like, hey, let's just do this, I won't assign it to maintainer right away. I'll let them make the change and then assign it to the maintainer, or not make the change and assign it to maintainer. So I do feel like as a first reviewer, I get the privilege to just pass it on sooner than later, which I think is helpful.
Not just privilege, but a good habit.
For me, it's a privilege. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Chow, you got something here.
Oh, no. It's just that I thought I referred that MR so much, so I posted it in there.
Oh, yes.
So went that to its 70 plus comments.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't that's what that happens.
Y'all front ends got a lot more comments on your MRs than us back end do, unless it's a database MR. But also I think typically there's like UX review that happens and like no one's looking at, I mean, I can look at JSON and be like, this JSON looks right, or that doesn't, either it works or it doesn't.
It does.
Like it's over by a millimeter. Or like the thing's not looking right. I'm so glad I don't do front end work. It's so hard.
I think it's also just like my newness and sort of a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like there's so many things that's new to me. Yeah, I think the first round when it dropped, I was like, oh my God, panicking. And then I just like, I will just take this until I don't. And that's the second one. It's on top of it. The who's on top of it is up now. And I just got a reviewer say, oh, I can't review this until Monday. And I was like, great. Because I have 2 smokes that I would actually work on because I've been just like very occupied. But yeah. Also, Paul from earlier, AM means mailbox.
Yeah, I asked
Isn't
DuoChat what
that
it meant.
wild?
Because I was like, I've been trying to test DuoChat when I can to
Oh,
be like,
yeah.
tell me what this thing means. It has been getting a lot better at answering questions,
Yes.
and I'm looking forward to it having more context from the editor that I'm working in.
Yeah, so I came from Copilot. What I find the major differences is the workspace. What's the feature? You select files and there's a context, it reads the context and sort of do things from there. That one we're very behind. Yeah. Sometimes I ask a view question, it was giving me suggestions on SAS. Not even close.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I was just like, here is the style guide for SAS.
Yeah.
Great.
But I know they are working on that. Like they're actually working with my team for part of this stuff to like add context from our index. I don't know what the final vector data store will be because that's still under discussion, but like, yeah, everyone's kind of trying to work on like, how do we give context for the code that you're working in to people that are asking questions, people that are searching files. But it gave me a very believable answer about what get AM-3 means. I still don't know if I believe any of the tools out there all the way right now. I'm always like, okay, let me go and double check. So, but it's good to see it giving me something. And I just need them to make the text about 3 sizes bigger and I'll be happier. Oh, I think you're muted, Paul. We can't hear you.
And hello, are we here? Okay. Sorry. That was weird. A couple weeks ago, we had this condition that we all thought was equivalent to a different condition. And we asked DuoChat, and DuoChat is like, hey, these aren't the same. And I walk away with like, man, DuoChat is so broken. And it was just really, it was really revealing to like, DuoChat could have said anything. And it's like, I was testing it and I was not trusting a single thing it said. And if it didn't verify with what was in my head, it was like, it was clearly wrong. And I don't know. It was right, but I still I don't know if I've learned from that experience or not.
That instance
mean,
is being referred. Oh, sorry. I
Oh,
was
no,
gonna
go
say that
ahead.
instance is being referred basically in this meeting every single week since.
I
Because
know,
the
it's so
week
embarrassing.
after, the people who wrote the Boolean, Paulina was here. We talked about it again. And then last week, we talked about it. Because we say Boolean was hard. And today it got brought back because of dual.
I mean, I don't know about you, but there are times when my tests failed and I'm like, I'm gonna run it one more time and just make sure because I think this thing failed, but like, did it?
That's good. Well, we're at time. Thanks everyone for hopping on and contributing. I think it was really interesting. I'll have fun trying to add the chapters to the video. I'll catch you all later. See you.
Thank you.